Why do we just accept that getting older automatically means getting weaker? Seriously, welcome to this explainer, guys. Today, we're totally tearing down that myth. We're unlocking the ultimate secret to building massive, head-turning strength without completely destroying your joints in the process. We're talking about how Soviet soldiers used a highly specific, scientific method to effortlessly crank out hundreds of push-ups a day and exactly how you can apply this blueprint to your own life. Seriously, why do we buy into this? I'll be completely honest with you guys. I used to have this deep-seated, paralyzing fear of aging. I was absolutely terrified of blowing out my shoulders or wrecking my lower back, just trying to keep up with the young dudes at the gym. I thought my joints were basically ticking time bombs. Like pushing myself would only lead to a hospital visit. But I wanted the strength. I wanted that vitality. I was stuck between this huge fear of injury and the hope for a stronger body. And that is exactly what we're going to solve in this explainer. I'm going to show you the exact roadmap I used to hit 100 flawless reps without a single ache. But I'm keeping one bizarre full-body tension trick hidden in my back pocket until the very end. It is literally the missing link. When I first discovered this, man, it triggered a massive wave of hope for me. This Cold War-era method completely flipped my script. It told me that if you're struggling to hit, say, 10 or 20 push-ups right now, you aren't weak. You're just using the wrong approach. This system works even if you've never done a proper push-up in your life, even if your joints feel as stiff as rusty hinges, and especially if you're over 60 and just trying to be careful with your body. All right, Section 1, the push-up paradox, rethinking effort. This was the first major realization of my own fitness journey. I basically had to unlearn everything I thought I knew, because it turned out that working harder, sweating more, and completely gassing myself out was actually the root of the problem. The contrast here is just stark. On one hand, you've got the classic American bodybuilding mentality. You know the drill. Busting your chops, no pain, no gain, grinding every single set to absolute failure. That was me, literally forcing out those last ugly reps when my shoulders were just screaming. The result? High fatigue and chronic joint pain. But on the flip side, you have the Soviet method. Their approach was all about flawless form, zero fatigue, and frequent practice. They stayed totally fresh. They figured out pretty quick that busting your chops was a great way to get injured, not a great way to get strong. So let's get into Section 2, the Soviet strength secret, a historical blueprint. We're going to dig into the dark, historical origins of this paradigm-shifting method that absolutely changed my perspective on what the human body is capable of later in life. The crucial concept here is something called grease the groove. It was popularized by Pavel Tsatsouline, the former Soviet Special Forces instructor who actually brought the kettlebell to the West. The idea is profoundly simple, but I promise you, it will change your life. Grease the groove treats strength not as a muscle that needs to be punished, but as a neurological skill that needs to be practiced. Think about learning to write the letter A as a kid. If you practiced it sloppily, you'd write it sloppily forever, right? Push-ups are the exact same way. It's a skill. And hey, this isn't just some bro science. This is backed by some seriously fascinating Cold War-era research. Back in the 1950s, an American exercise physiologist named Thomas Rush proposed that strength adaptation was largely a skill. Around the exact same time, a Soviet scientist named Stepanov was hooking Olympic weightlifters up to EMG machines. Those are devices that measure the electrical activity in your muscles. What Stepanov found completely blew people's minds. As the athletes got stronger over the months, the electrical activity in their muscles actually dropped when lifting the exact same weight. No way, right? The stronger athletes used less neural effort. Their nervous systems became incredibly efficient superconductors. And you know what? That science absolutely holds up today, especially for older adults. Take a look at this data, straight from the National Strength and Conditioning Association's position statement. It proves clinically that submaximal, moderate-intensity training is not only incredibly safe for guys over 60, but it's highly effective for reversing age-related muscle disuse, preventing frailty, and most importantly, preserving your joints. You do not need to lift your absolute max to make massive gains. The clinical data 100% supports staying in that safe, moderate zone. Moving on to Section 3, rewiring the nervous system. I want to be your guide through this brain-body connection today because understanding this neuroscience is exactly what backed up the crazy personal results I ended up seeing right in my own living room. Dr. Andrew Huberman actually talks about this beautiful neuroscience principle called Hebbian learning. The rule is simply neurons that fire together, wire together. Your brain creates these high-speed highways for your movement patterns. So think about it. If you're doing 100 daily push-ups with your hips just sagging toward the ground because you're totally exhausted, you aren't developing strengths. You are literally wiring your brain to become exceptionally skilled at causing chronic joint pain. But if you practice fresh, you wire a perfect, super efficient neural highway. Which leads to the absolute golden rule of this entire explainer. Stop the set the moment your form slips. I really cannot emphasize this enough, guys. If you're doing a set and the second your hips sag or your shoulders dip or maybe your neck cranes forward, boom, the set is done. You have to preserve those perfect neural pathways. You want quality over quantity, every single time. No exceptions.
All right, let's get into the mechanics. Section 4, the Daily Half-Max Protocol, your practical blueprint. Let's transition into the exact minimalist routine I used in my own home to reach numbers I previously thought were downright impossible for a guy my age.
Here is your new holy grail, step by step. Step 1, you're going to test your max with perfect form. Let's say you can do 20 good push-ups before your form breaks. Step 2, you cut that number exactly in half, so your magic number is 10. Step 3, spread 10 sets of 10 reps throughout your entire day. We're talking 1 set in the morning, 1 before lunch, maybe 1 while waiting for the coffee to brew. It's kind of like old school Soviet workplace gymnastics, what they used to call производственная gymnastika. Step 4, take a total rest on the 7th day, just to consolidate those neural pathways. And finally, step 5, retest your max every 2 weeks and adjust that 50% baseline.
Let's hit these bullet points really hard because this is exactly where people mess up. Never exhaust yourself. You should experience absolutely zero muscle burn. Stop before fatigue even thinks about setting in. Keep your rest periods incredibly long, up to 10 minutes or even hours if you're spreading them across the day like we talked about. And always, always take that 7th day off. Getting gassed out ruins the progress. This is all about sweat equity without actually breaking a sweat. Honestly, it should feel ridiculously easy.
And now for the big one, Section 5, the full body tension trick, the game-changing secret. It is finally time to reveal that hidden solution I promised you in the very beginning. This is the game-changing technique that makes every single rep safer and way more powerful.
See, the Soviets didn't view the push-up as just an arm or chest exercise. They viewed the body as a single integrated machine. There's this fascinating physiological phenomenon called irradiation. Basically, when you contract one muscle intensely, that electrical signal doesn't just stay put. It radiates to adjacent muscles and makes them contract harder too.
Let me coach you through this right now. You have to do these 3 steps simultaneously before you even bend your elbows. Step 1, grip the floor. Literally, imagine you're trying to unscrew 2 tight jars with your hands, twisting your palms outward. Step 2, brace your core. Take a deep breath and lock your stomach like you're about to take a punch, keeping those ribs pulled down. Step 3, squeeze your glutes as hard as you can to stabilize your hips. Gripping, bracing, and squeezing all at the exact same time turns your entire body into a solid, impenetrable unit. It completely protects your lower back and your shoulders. But let me clarify real quick. This full body tension trick is the amplifier, not the foundation. It's the absolute game changer that makes every rep safer and lighter for sure, but it only works when you combine it with that 6-day submaximal grease the groove protocol we just went over. Put them together and they are an unstoppable force.
So I'm going to leave you with this provocative question. When you finally drop that old no pain, no gain myth, when you start treating your body like a highly efficient machine instead of a punching bag, what will your new baseline be? Just imagine a life where dropping down and doing 100 perfect pain-free reps feels like nothing more than a light warm-up. It completely changed my life, it protected my joints, and it can absolutely redefine your own strength limits, no matter your age. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Now get out there and grease that groove.